So continuing where we left off in the last video, where we finished the table column sorting, there's a couple of improvements that we can make. We want to add CSS to the table headers to give us feedback on the current sorting that's being applied. So up here we have the primary sort being the stars by highest to lowest, and because the sort name, the hotel name here, doesn't have an explicit direction, it's using the implicit direction provided by default from the paging and sorting repository. So this will be by ascending order. So let's have a look at the documentation. I've provided a couple of methods here that does that for us. Value when matches sort ascending and descending. So let's have a read. This method is useful for conditional CSS classes or tooltips where different values should be returned based on the current sort direction. So to get a feel for it, it works similar to the field sorting methods. It's a carried function. We have to provide all these values, and then it returns a function that accepts the sort field. So for example, here's the current query string. We want to apply conditional CSS based on the city. So if the city appears in the query string, then there's currently no implicit it's currently using an implicit direction. So this is treated as being the ascending direction because we're using this the ascending version of this method. So this is equivalent to saying the paging and sorting repository is sorting city by ascending, so therefore city ascending, the direction matches ascending, therefore it will return the matching value, which is where we get there. The second example is basically saying, well, okay, we know that city is explicitly being sorted ascending, so therefore because the city sort field appears in the query string and ascending matches the ascending method that we're using, we get a matching CSS class returned. So just imagine that this is a CSS class, and that's the value that we get returned. Here's a example that doesn't match. So cities being sorted descending order, but we're saying that we want to match it only if it's in ascending order. So because these don't match, we get the non-matching value for the CSS class. So this is the case where, because we want to apply the CSS class matching CSS class when it's ascending, but it's not ascending, then we'll apply the descending class. So I'll show you an example in a second that will make more sense of that. And lastly, when the field doesn't appear in the query string, we don't want to apply any CSS. So country doesn't appear as a sort field, so therefore the missing value is returned. So just to tie this all together, this is the running example here that we're going to use. So we will create a function that is partially applied. So this expects a single argument for the sort field. So essentially what we're saying here is when the sort key doesn't appear in the query string, we don't return any CSS. However, when the sort key does appear in the query string and it's in ascending order, then we'll apply the sorted ascending CSS class. Otherwise, if the query string is if the sort key is in the query string but it's not in the ascending order because we're matching on ascending values, then we'll apply the sorted descending CSS class. So you could reverse this logic if it makes more semantic sense to apply the opposite reasoning, where you want to match a field if it's currently descending, then the match will be the descending value instead, and the non-matching value will be sorted ascending. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, they're both the same, it's just whatever you use for the matching value really. But let's apply this to our list of functions up here. So I'm just going to move this so it's formatted nicely. So the reason why it's a function is because we don't want to have to write out the CSS classes every time. We can just pass in the sort field, so that works in nicely. And then we want to grab this. So the Thymeleaf notation is using the class append. And it's just easier to copy and paste on the last line, so that's what I'll do. So yeah, this is basically saying that when the name sort field appears in the query string and it's in ascending order, then we'll apply the sorted ascending direction. If the name sort field is in the query string but it's not in the sort ascending direction, we'll apply the sort descending CSS class. When the name field doesn't appear in the query string, we'll apply nothing. So we're pretty much going to, I'm just going to copy and paste them all in here, and I'm going to copy and paste the correct field in. And that should do it, so let's restart that. Alright, so let's give that a reload. So you can see that we've got these arrows here. So like I said before, the primary sort is stars descending order and the name is being ascending, so A to Z. And in our showing all of our hotels, when there's no sort applied, it's like that. And if we just sort stars again, it will go from the highest to lowest value, because we said that we were using the default descending order for stars. So that's what it works like that. So yeah, that all works good. In the next video, I'll make another improvement and we'll add some meaningful tooltips to actually tell us what is going on up here. So yeah, catch you next video.